And Trita Parsi joins me tonight on the day. A very warm welcome to you. So Iran wants to talk, but not directly with the United States. What is going to be the role of Europe and other global partners in making this happen?
Well, the Europeans will play a very important role in making sure that the right type of choreography is found so that both sides can come back fully into the deal. The U.S. is outside of the deal. The Iranians are inside the deal but have reduced their obligations, and that needs to be reversed as well. Mindful of the fact that the Iranians are taking the position that if they start talking directly to the U.S. right now, it would be tantamount to negotiating the U.S.'s return to the deal, which in their view means that the U.S. would get more concessions for agreeing to the same deal that it agreed to already 5 years ago. And the Iranians are not going to do that. That's part of the reason why it's so important for the Europeans to be there now in the middle and try to find that choreography that can bring both of them back into the deal, at which point direct talks between the two sides can commence.
As you say, the issue has long been who goes first in making a move. How are they going to find something satisfactory to both sides?
I think that who goes first has a natural solution. An obvious solution is that they both go at the same time. And there are going to be some tricky things because some of the measures that the Iranians need to take may take a month, 2 months. Some of the things that the U.S. needs to do may take a little bit longer. Some of it may take a little bit shorter. I think this can be resolved in the sense that they can actually have a choreography in which they both take binding decisions on what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. Now, when it needs to be done can be a few weeks down the road, but the binding decision is taken at the same time. And that way, both sides can say that they did not go first. In reality, both of them went together.
So that would be a solution that would be appealing to both their domestic audiences. But I mean, clearly there is mistrust between the two sides, especially as Biden has been under pressure from European diplomats back at the start of his term to move quickly, to lift some sanctions so that Iran would reciprocate. Why do you think that we are seeing movement here now?
Well, in the beginning, it was quite clear that the Biden administration, had to focus more on some of its domestic issues, getting the COVID relief fund through the Senate and Congress, and as a result, seemed to not want to touch this issue, mindful of the political capital it would utilize and consume that the administration felt that they needed for other issues. It appears that we are past that now because not just on this issue, but on some other issues, they're now moving forward. The signal they're sending is that they want to quickly get back into the deal. So it appears that some of the first domestic matters that they needed to attend to are now past them, and as a result, they're shifting their focus to this issue, which is much welcome because there's not much time left. The Iranian elections are very soon, and this needs to get done before the Iranians are fully in their pre-election mood and atmosphere.
And I will be asking you more about that in a moment, but I do want to say China clearly has vested interests in these talks as well. We're going to play a soundbite from the Chinese Foreign Affairs spokesperson, and then we can pick up the conversation again.
Iran's nuclear situation is at a critical stage. China has always maintained an impartial position and played a constructive role. It will actively participate in the conference to consolidate the opinions of all parties and uphold the agreement.
So Trita, address this for me if you can. Why is China so interested in reviving this agreement?
Well, China, together with the Europeans, the Russian and others, were part of the original agreement. And it's important to them that there is no proliferation of nuclear weapons in the Middle East. It's also important to them that there is no war between the United States and Iran, as it would destabilize the region. 40% of China's energy is coming from the Persian Gulf. The same is true for the Europeans and the Russians. What I think we are seeing, however, is a higher profile of the Chinese compared to 6 years ago. They seem to be more willing to push and put pressure on the parties to get movement. And I'm not entirely clear as to why that is, but I think it may have something to do with the fact that there is also now more tensions between the United States and China than there was before. Because some of the things that the Chinese have said and done so far is to put pressure on the Biden administration to start paying right attention to this issue and move faster.
So you think they see this as an opportunity in that regard. But I do want to return to the elections that you mentioned that are coming up in June in Iran. How much time pressure does that create? I mean, is that really going to be a make or break moment if they're unable to come to an agreement before those elections?
Both sides can pretend that this is not that critical, but it absolutely is critical, because it is quite likely, not entirely certain, but quite likely that the next Iranian president may be a hardliner that, much like Trump in 2016, will run on a platform criticizing and opposing the nuclear deal. Right now, you have in the US and in Iran two administrations that were actually the same ones that negotiated this deal 6 years ago. And to get the movement that is necessary while these people are still there, they still have familiarity with each other, it makes everything much easier, but also because both of them want to get back into the deal. We do not know for certain what the next Iranian administration will want or not. And as deeper we get into the Iranian election season, the higher the risk also is that because of political issues on the Iranian side, there will be more posturing by Tehran that will be highly unhelpful for the negotiations. So we've already lost, frankly, 2 months. It's critical that this movement happens much faster now.
Trita Parsi from the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for coming on The Day.
Thank you so much for having me.